All right, we are live. Peace and love, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, please like and subscribe. And I am Queen Tamara of Astro Healing Arts Wellness Center. And today we are here with the lovely, I want to say, mental health therapist.
Yes.
Yes, with Serenity Rain. Thank you and welcome back. And tonight, family, we're going to be talking about narcissistic abuse and surviving narcissistic abuse. And this is part two. And I am happy to say, part one, we got quite a few comments in the chat, if you remember, Serenity, and people who were bearing witness to these experiences, or just it was like a heads up and
Mhm,
shedding some light into this topic. I
mhm,
am seeing a lot of stuff online now about narcissism, and I just think it's very interesting that it's coming out now and people are talking about it more, because years ago you've very seldom heard it. And I know when I was
mhm,
growing up, I heard the term narcissistic, but I thought it was a person that was conceited. I didn't know it was
mhm.
a whole personality disorder, and there was a whole set of traits that
Right.
went along with it.
Mhm.
And but over the years, I have noticed that people who are abusive
Right.
tend to have the same methods and the
Mhm,
same behavior. It may look a little different, but it's not. And
mhm.
as time went on, I began to see that, all these people had the same traits, the same kind of behavior, the same method of operation. Then I discovered, oh, this is what narcissism is. This is actually
Mhm.
a disorder. Now, I know it's labeled a personality disorder, but I would say, would you agree that it's a mental health disorder? It's a mental illness, because the people who engage in this kind of behavior, their mind is not well.
Right, right. It's definitely a mental illness. Um,
Okay.
it's in the DSM was the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of mental
Oh, it is.
disorders.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mental, the overarching umbrella is a mental illness or mental
Mm-hmm.
disorder. And then
Mm-hmm.
under that, you had a category of personality disorders. And
Mm-hmm.
there are different clusters of personality disorders. And this falls under narcissistic personality disorder, falls under one of the clusters.
Okay, I see. I see.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna give you a moment to introduce yourself, if for those who weren't here or didn't see part one. So if you want to take a moment now just to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay. I'm a mental health therapist, like you said. I specialize in anxiety, depression, narcissistic abuse,
Mhm.
and amongst other things, it's phase of life, adjustment to life. Um, and I've been practicing for been a therapist for over 10 years, and in different modalities, in different ways, from the little babies, the kitties, up until the adults. And if I do families and couples as well. Right now, my primary focus are young adults and adults, and especially those impacted by narcissistic abuse.
Okay, great. All right. And so you work with, you said, young adults and adults, and especially people who are impacted by narcissistic abuse.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Let me see. Last time we were together, you gave us a good, clear, concise definition of what a narcissist is, like, the different traits that they have. So tonight, let's go a little deeper into this topic, and let's talk about the different types of narcissists, because
Hmm. Hmm.
all narcissists are not what I call the malignant,
Hmm.
aggressive kind. There's some that are more subtle,
Hmm.
more covert,
Yep.
or deceiving with the tactics, but they're
Yeah.
still abusive. So can you
Yep.
talk about that?
Yeah. So first, I do want to do like a little quick overview of the different traits. So
Okay,
people
sure.
who either didn't see the first one or just want a refresher.
Hmm.
So something like some of the traits that narcissists tend to have is a grandiose self of importance. They exploit others, a sense of entitlement. Of course, no empathy. That's a big part that they lack empathy. They have this preoccupation with fantasies or this ideal love, power, unlimited success,
Mhm.
the belief that
Money.
money, yes,
Mhm.
beauty,
Yeah.
anything superficial. It's a grandiose type idea about it. And then they have the superiority that they are the only ones that can obtain this, or they're higher than or better than. And then of course that comes
Mhm.
with the arrogant and haughty behaviors and attitudes.
Mhm.
So when you think about the different types of um, narcissism, if you do a Google search, you're gonna see some say it's 3, some say it's 7, some
Yes,
say
I
it's
noticed that. Yeah.
10. And so it can get really confusing.
Mhm.
But I believe that there are three main types, and then in those three main types, you may have subtypes. And so, like the one
Okay.
that you said already was malignant. And the
Mhm.
malignant, this person, these type of people seek to dominate people. They lack
Yes.
remorse. They act like a parasite and they exploit others.
Yes.
And they are the expert manipulators. And these
Yes.
are usually where your psychopaths and sociopaths fall under. Like
Mhm.
they are out to get people and they don't care about who they hurt. Um, and then you have the grandiose. This is the person that seeks admiration from others, that brags, that wants special treatment from others, and is an expert on getting attention and trying to be the center of attention. They're usually pretty harmless. They just worry about themselves and everything got to be about them. So it may be the person at the party that tries to steal the crowd, always got to be the center of a conversation. Like, so in a conversation, they'll always bring the conversation back to them. They always got to one up somebody. They always got to be like, oh, well, I got this. I got this. Oh, you got that? Well, I got this better. So
Right.
usually it's generally, harmless. This is very annoying. Like, this person is full of themselves.
Right.
Everything got to be so grandiose, got to be out there. They got to be better than everybody.
They got to
And
be the center of attention.
got to be the
When
center
the
of
attention
attention.
is on somebody else, it's somebody
Hmm.
else's event or show, they got to turn it to them.
Yep. They're the type of person that will come to a wedding wearing white. On a fancy and or the best a shiny suit. They got to be the center of attention, even though it's somebody else's wedding.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then you have the vulnerable type. Now, this one right here, this is a sneaky one. This one to sneak up on you
Mhm.
because they seek pity from others. They want to be a victim. They crave victimhood. They can be. This is their kind of covert, right? A covert
Mhm.
narcissist because they can go under the guise of being helpful, of being generous, of being positive, of being sweet. So people are like, that person's nice. What are you talking about? And they are expert of showing helplessness. Like, I need help. I need help. But under all of that, it's just their way of that's their form of manipulation. They use
Right.
victimhood to throw the people off their image and throw people off of who they truly are on the inside.
Mm. So would you call that's the third one is the victim?
The vulnerable.
The vulnerable. Is that
Hmm.
the kind of person, because I've seen this in several families and I've heard many stories about that. So would that be the person who has a illness or disability and they use that to manipulate family members to do things for them, like when everybody's planning a trip and they're like, oh yeah, y'all go, don't worry about me, I'll be
Hmm.
fine, I can't keep up with you anyway, so y'all go. And then when right before the people are getting ready to go on the trip, they have a relapse or they fall down the steps or they have some other
Hmm.
kind of issue, and now
Hmm.
people have to cancel to stay with them.
Hmm.
Is that what
Exactly.
that? Okay, so
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head.
oh, I mean,
This person,
I've
this
seen them.
person wants, they're going to act like, oh no, everything's fine. But then it's always something dramatic that happens that
Right,
calls
just
people to
right,
their attention,
right.
calls people to their rescue.
And that's called narcissism. It's interesting. Yes,
A
I've seen
vulnerable,
this. I've
vulnerable
seen this.
narcissism.
Oh,
Hmm.
and they'll say things like, "Oh, I don't want people to worry about me, or I
Hmm.
don't want, to
Hmm.
inconvenience anyone.
Right.
I don't want to burden anybody." But then they do
Yep. Yep.
by
It is end of the
asking,
day.
and then if you don't respond the way they
Oh.
want, they have these tantrums or these
Hmm.
outbursts,
They have
or
these tantrums. They'll talk bad about you.
I'm having a
They'll make,
heart attack, or I'm
hmm
having this problem. My leg just suddenly went paralyzed, and
Yep.
it's, yeah, and it. It's always
Mm-hmm. It's always something up. Always something.
interesting. Okay, yes,
Mm-hmm.
I have seen.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
I
the
have
biggest
seen
part,
it.
the reason why there's a form of narcissism,
Mhm.
the characteristics, the three main characteristics of narcissism that's that's that is consistent across all three of these forms is
Okay,
the lack of empathy,
lack of
because this
empathy.
person is thinking about themselves and not thinking about how people feeling sorry for them is taken away from people actually enjoying their lives. Or like
Mhm.
the trip, for example, they don't care about the people having going on the trip.
Mm-mm.
Actually, they don't want nobody to go on the trip because they can't go on the trip, so they want to ruin for them. They're not
Right,
thinking, let me not be selfish, let me allow them to go. No, they're
right,
like, no, it's about me, and I don't, they can't, I can't, if I can't go, they can't go. So
right,
the lack of empathy, the manipulation is
and they
another
good at it.
one. The manipulation, and then it's like a grandiosity. Like everything got to be grand, got to be
Mhm.
big. It got to be some type of a show, like even
Mhm.
the dramatizing,
Mhm.
like, oh my, I fell my leg, and it got to be something
Mhm.
big. And
Very dramatic. They very
yep,
dramatic.
mhm.
Mhm.
And so those are the three main things that is across the board: lack of empathy,
Lack of empathy,
grandiose, and
grandiose,
then
and
manipulation, utilizing
manipulation.
manipulation in their
Mhm.
own different ways.
Right. So how can you tell if a person is a narcissist or just being selfish? Because narcissists are selfish people.
Mhm,
They're very self-centered,
mhm,
and a lot of them um do not they're just incapable of seeing, like you said, they lack empathy. They're just incapable of seeing how other people feel or how their behavior is
mhm,
impacting other people. They just
mhm.
can't wrap their heads around it. I don't
Right.
know if that's by choice or if that's just, they just can't help themselves. But how do you know the difference between a person who's just being selfish versus somebody that's a narcissist?
It's a very thin line.
Okay.
It's a very thin line because narcissists are already selfish. They're just there. They're about the self.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
selfish people, not all selfish people are narcissists, but selfish people can have narcissistic tendencies. And what
Yes.
makes somebody narcissist is the consistency in the traits, like having
Okay.
like three or more of these traits would make you a narcissist versus, and it's consistent. It's a personality disorder. It's not something like, oh, somebody just being, oh, they're just selfish with their time. If somebody's
Right.
specifically selfish with one thing, or they're just selfish with their
Mhm.
food, or they're selfish with their money, that's one
Mhm.
specific thing. But they're selfish across the board. And then not only are they selfish, they have a sense of entitlement. They exploit others. They lack empathy. And they have all these other characteristics, and then classifies
Mhm.
them as narcissists.
It's a
Now, if somebody's
narcissist.
just stingy with their money or their food, that doesn't mean
Mhm.
they're a narcissist. That is a narcissistic tendency, but it also
Mhm.
depends on if they're stingy with their money, but then they are grandiose about showboating their money. Like,
Mhm.
I don't want you to have mine, but I'm gonna let you know that I got it, but you can't have none. So those tendencies.
Okay, yes.
But it
I
is a very thin line. It's sometimes it's hard to tell the difference.
Well, yes, it is. And then another thing I notice about them, they tend to, when you say grandiose, I know that they like to spend large amounts of money sometimes, like to impress people. But
Mhm.
I also think they do it as a manipulation.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
they'll, because oftentimes, especially the malignant ones, they will remind you what they paid for. They will
Mm, yeah.
remind you what
Mhm.
they bought you,
Mhm.
what they had to give you,
Yep.
take ownership of it. Without me, you wouldn't have had this, or I
Mhm.
paid for that, or I was the one that made that happen. And so they like to spend money.
Yep.
Um, but it's always for their benefit, although they
Mhm.
may do something. Let's say they might have an event to feed the homeless or whatever, but then they're in all the pictures, they're
Mhm.
making it about them
Mhm.
and talking. It's just another opportunity for them to shine and for the attention to
Mhm.
be on them. It's not about the homeless people, it's about what they're doing.
Right.
See, they're very attention seeking.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Mhm. Um, there's so much talk about this now. Why do you think that is? Because about 10 years ago, I wasn't seeing videos about narcissism. I wasn't hearing things about it. It was kind of like a closet term. Now
Mhm.
all of a sudden it's becoming talked about more. Why do you think that is?
I think that's for two reasons. One, because of social media and
Okay.
people have a platform. So now
Okay.
people are talking out, people are speaking out,
Hmm.
and people are like, "Oh, I identify with that. That is something that I that sounds like something I'm going through. Let
Hmm.
me connect with this person, or let me find out more research about this." And then you see more interest in people learning about narcissism. The second thing is the wave of the focus being on mental health. And I think because of that, a lot of people are talking about mental health. A part of mental health is mental health disorders. And it's narcissism is one of those things that people don't get help for. So
Yes.
and now is people are making a connection that narcissistic personality disorder or NPD is a disorder, and that this is not this a characteristic that people have. This is actually something, a personality deficit. This is actually just something that people, that this is who they are.
Hmm.
and and then people are realizing, oh, you can't change these people, because if change to happen, people have to want the change for themselves.
Hmm.
And narcissists don't think anything is wrong with them, so they're not going to change. They're not going to go to therapy to get the help. If you do, by the rare chance, get a narcissist in the therapy, they're not going to stay long, and
Right.
they're going to blame everything on everyone else, and then they're going to use all their tactics to try to get out of it.
Hmm. Why do they play the victim? Why do they do the victimhood thing? Is
Because
that
they
part
have
of the manipulation
there's a
or
part
that?
of there's a part of the manipulation, but under all of that, they have a very fragile sense of self, and they will do anything to protect that, whether it means being a victim or whether it means showboating. They're going to do whatever it takes to protect that fragile ego. It's like a fragile sense of self. It's like their defense mechanism is to project everything out on everyone
Mm,
else, and to uplift themselves and make themselves be better than, or even sometimes less than, because that's the vulnerable one. Like, I need all the special attention because I need you to feel sorry for me, because I don't want you to recognize how flawed I really am.
mm-hmm,
Because if you pity me, you're going to still do stuff for me. But if you
mm-hmm,
don't like me, then and you realize that I got traits that are unlikable, you're not going to want to deal with me.
mm-hmm. Hmm. Interesting. That made me think about the next thing, the term gaslighting. I know we didn't talk too much about that. That
Mm-hmm.
is something that they seem to master. Could
Mm-hmm.
you speak on that a little?
Yes, yes. So I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because that's like one of their main tactics. But I'm gonna go through. There's nine, and there's more than nine. But I'm gonna go through nine of the
Well, I
tactics.
have dealt with narcissists in my
Mm-hmm.
life, and the gaslighting is something that they do a lot, and they will make you feel like you're losing it,
Oh
with
yeah.
their lies, their
Mm-hmm.
manipulation, and sometimes they know how to engage other people
Mm-hmm.
in the lies with them,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
will
That's the
try
whole
to
point.
make you look like you are making it up. You're making up the abuse. You're the
Mm-hmm.
crazy one.
Mm-hmm.
You're a and it,
It's a whole show for them, and
it
they're the
is.
director.
They're the director and
They're
the
the
main
director.
actor.
They're the main actor. They're the protagonist. They're the antagonist. They're everybody, except for the people that's doing things wrong. But I'm gonna go through the
We
nine.
laughing now because we from personal experience, but yeah,
Right.
this is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. You gotta laugh through your pain sometimes. Well, I'm gonna identify nine and then go a little bit in depth with each one. So the first one, top of the list, is, of course, gaslighting. That's number one tactic. Then you have love bombing, triangulation,
Mhm,
projection, playing the victim, which we talked about, smear campaigns,
mhm,
revenge seeking, guilt tripping, and hovering. So,
Okay.
gaslighting is basically making you question your reality.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do whatever to make sure that their version of reality is believed by everybody else. And the goal is for you to go crazy, or for at least for you to look crazy to everybody else, because if they can set it up in a way that they look like the one that's not doing nothing wrong, and when you try to tell the truth about them, other people are going to question that. That's how they want it, because
Mm.
then people can't band up against them. So what
Mm-hmm.
they do, they have this like they want to get people to like them, and so they go to these, like you said, these fundraisers, and they're heavily in the community, and they're giving out gifts, and they're doing all this. That is part of the gaslighting, because if they look like that to the public, their public image is key. If they look like that to
Oh
the public,
yes.
and behind closed doors they're verbally, emotionally, and mentally abusing, no one's going to believe that.
Oh, sexual
Oh
abuse.
no, he's
Yeah.
such a nice guy. Oh no, but she gives to charity.
Yes.
Like,
Or
oh,
he's the leader of this, or she's the
yeah,
head of that. They couldn't possibly
mhm.
do that. Right.
Couldn't possibly. No, not him, not her. Oh no. And then you're so hurt and fragile. You're like at your wits' ends, because at some point you believe the story too. And once you
Mm.
had the veil lifted, now you trying to put shit together. Excuse my language. Put stuff together.
Mhm.
Put the clues together, and you look like a madman. Have you ever seen
Exactly.
like a
And when you
movie?
expose them, they'll say, I didn't do that,
I didn't do
or
that.
I didn't say that, or you
Or they'll say this.
misunderstood.
Here's another one. They'll say
What?
this: if I did do that, that was not my intention. And that's the one that throw you off, because it's not necessarily they're apologizing, and they're not acknowledging, or they'll say something like this: if that was how you felt, I can't take that away from you.
See, I don't never hear them.
And those are the ones that are good. Those are the ones that are good. They'll use those, and it's like, did they apologize? No, it's not an apology. They're not taking no
Oh
offense.
no, they don't apologize.
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
And then a part of the cycle, the next one is the love bombing. So if you do start to, figure out what's going on, they're like, oh, I'm about to lose them. Let me try to get them back. So they flower you with gifts. They flower you with words of affirmation. They continue to gaslight, but no, I love you. No, I didn't mean it like that. No, it's just, I'm going to do better. Da, 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 da. That's the love bombing. And then you're
That's the
like,
love bombing.
okay,
Okay.
well, I guess I'll give this person another chance. Okay, well, they say they didn't mean it. Okay, well, I see them trying to make a change.
Mhm.
Okay, well, they did have a rough upbringing, so I can give them, a pass. I can show them some
And
compassion.
most narcissists have had a rough upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
or so they
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm. So they
Mhm.
say, and some of them have. It still doesn't give you a right to treat people like that, but some of them
Right.
have.
Yeah, they have, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the triangulation, which is one of my favorites,
What's that?
where you got a triangle,
Hmm.
and you have the narcissist, and then you have you, and then you have somebody else, and they pit you. This triangulation usually happens when it's a parent that's a narcissist, and the
Okay.
parent will pit the siblings against each other.
Oh
You
yes.
have a scapegoat, you have your golden child, and they'll pit them against each other. So they will that deflects them from realizing that the parent is doing all of that.
The parent is like a puppet a narcissist
Mhm.
parent is a puppet master, and so the other people in the, you said, it's like a move. They're the director and the main
Mhm.
actor. The other people involved don't know that they're being
They don't
manipulated.
know. They don't know
I've
because
seen this
the
too.
narcissist try to keep them apart as much as possible by talking to each one bad about the other. And so they keep them apart. They can't communicate and compare notes. Therefore, they can't compare notes. They can't band together and go
Oh,
against the narcissist. So this is the type of parent that call the one sibling and say, "Oh man, your brother, he just, I just needed him today, and he just, I just don't want to call him selfish, but he when he did that to you that last time, I felt so bad about that, and I feel like he doing the same thing to me." And then pick up the phone and call it, I was just talking to your sister. You know what she said? She said
mhm,
you are selfish. Can you? And I was like, not my baby,
mhm.
and setting it up. So then,
Also, they have enablers sometimes. Have
Oh
you?
yeah, and that's a part of the whole family cycle. And usually, it's the other spouse or the other parent that becomes the enabler, or it's a sibling
Mm-hmm.
that one of the children becomes the enabler,
Mm-hmm.
trying to protect the mother or to protect the father.
Who's the narcissist?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They either
Mm.
protect them, try to protect them, or they just turn a blind eye.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But that's still, you still, whether you do something or not, you're still involved. It's still an action.
Right.
Inaction
So
is still
would the enabler be in a narcissist too, or in
um
a sense, or they just manipulated by them narcissists?
no, they can. You can have two narcissists in a codependent situation. So
Mm-hmm.
it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But usually
Mm.
two narcissists don't usually be get together because they can't feed off each other. If they both manipulating and exploiting, then they're going to
Well,
one.
I have seen some couples who have both have narcissistic traits, and of course, it's a power struggle in the
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
Yep.
But because
Mm-hmm.
they both are very insecure, they
Mm-hmm.
both manipulators, and but one will dominate the other,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then eventually, they'll go their separate ways. But I have seen it. I mean, they will get together. They
Yeah.
say birds with feather flock together. They will
Together.
get
Yeah.
together, but it will be one will dominate the other one.
Yeah. It's gonna be World War III.
It will be. It
Two
will. Yeah, it will
narcissists get
be.
together.
And then the one that's more malignant will dominate. I guess the
Mm-hmm. The
vulnerable,
more vulnerable one.
the
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable one. Yeah, I've seen
Mm-hmm.
that a lot. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the
Yeah.
next one is projection, and projection
What's
is
that?
taking your negative qualities and projecting them to other people. So of course the narcissists don't want no one to know that they're flawed. So they're always pointing out flaws in others. Like, I wonder why they wore that. Why did they look that way? So anything how their insecurities, how they feel about themselves, they project on that. The best example of a
They accuse
projection.
other people of manipulating them.
Right. Yep. That too. So the best way to explain projection is a spouse cheating on a spouse, and that spouse blame the spouse for cheating on them when they're the one that's doing the cheating. So a husband is cheating, and he blames his wife for cheating, but he the
Yes,
one that's
yeah,
cheating. He accuses
yeah.
her of cheating, but he the one that's cheating.
Right. I've seen that. And sometimes cheaters or narcissists will say, I did it because you did that.
Yep. And that's
You
where
weren't, you were always
that's
at
the
work.
next
So
one.
I
That's
was
the plan.
alone. So
Hmm.
I had to sleep with your brother.
Yeah.
You were always work.
Mm-hmm. And that's the playing the victim. That goes to the
That's a
next
plain victim
playing
part.
the victim. Like, woe is me. It wasn't my fault. I had to do it. You caused me to do it. I did it because you pushed me to do it.
Right,
I
right.
couldn't get my needs met. So da da da.
Yes.
Yes. So the best role they play is the victim
Right.
because it's never their fault, and it's always something done to them.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yep. And the next one is smear campaigns. Oh,
They're good at
if
that.
you do not, if they can't get that narcissistic feed from you, and you put up boundaries, how audacity you have boundaries. If you have boundaries with a narcissist, they're like, oh, they gonna have a lot of stuff to say about you. They gonna make they gonna make your life a living hell
Mm-hmm.
if you don't acquiesce to their requests, especially if you gave them something before
Mm-hmm.
and then you cut it off. You
Mm-hmm.
immediately cut off their supply. Oh, they're gonna fight for it and initially, and they're gonna
Initially,
make
right.
yeah they're gonna until they find something else, because when they find someone else they're gonna move on,
Mm-hmm.
but and until they do they're gonna take your name down in the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
um, is narcissism just like is this is like some kind of trauma response or coping mechanism, do you think?
um I mean, it can be like it can be a defense mechanism again to protect that fragile sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
And on one hand, it can be a trauma response if they had a narcissistic parent themselves,
Yeah.
if they experience some type of trauma in their childhood where they feel like they had to, you know, protect themselves in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But narcissism can also be developed by a sense of entitlement that they were given as a child. That you have parents that are overly coddling, that doesn't discipline or have clear boundaries. So they go out into this world and think everyone's supposed to bow down to them and they're supposed to get whatever,
Right.
so they don't necessarily have to be any trauma, but the behavior is, in a way, the behavior is conditioned, and they really believe that the world is be supposed to revolve around them.
All around them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Interesting.
And then the next one is revenge seeking. Of course, that go along with the smear campaign.
Mm-hmm.
The antagonist of the story comes
And
back and tries to bring down the,
they can be very vengeful.
oh, very, very vengeful, especially the malignant. The malignant, who are the psychopaths and sociopaths, they don't, they seem to have no limits, no bounds,
Mm-hmm.
no morals, no values when it comes to that. People aren't people.
Right.
It's just the ends to me, means to an ends, and you in the way, and they're going to try to bring you down the best way they can.
Yes.
They the type, they'll run you over, and you on the ground, running over. They'll back up, run you over again,
Mm-hmm.
and move forward, run you over again,
Mm-hmm.
just for the hell of it. Just like, I'm just gonna do
Yeah,
you.
or the ones like if you break up with them, they will go out of their way to try to make your life miserable because you left them, but they want you back,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't make sense.
Some of
But
them don't even want you back. They just don't want nobody else to have you. They don't want you to be happy.
that and some of them will say that.
The audacity of you to be happy without them,
Hmm.
or to live a life without them.
Right.
Like, who do you think
Mm.
you are? Yeah.
Very selfish, very self-absorbed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So the
Hmm.
next one is guilt tripping. Oh, they're good at this.
Hmm.
They're good at this, making you feel bad for something especially something you even do. Like, what am I? Why do I feel bad? They'll start off with a love bomb, and the love bomb not working. They'll flip a script on you real quick,
Very.
and then you become the bad guy. Like, I did all this, I try to bring you flowers, try to do everything for you. It's never good enough. Nothing's ever good enough.
Hmm.
You're
Hmm.
like, what? But you're the one that cheated. What's happening? Why am
Right.
I the bad guy now?
Oh, and then they'll say things. Well, I guess I'm the bad person then, huh? I guess I'm not
Yep.
a good. They famous for that. Oh, I guess
Yep.
I'm not a good mother. Or I guess I'm not a good
Oh, that
father.
one.
Or I guess I wasn't a good enough husband to you.
Oh my goodness. That one right there. And that one hits home for me. That statement, I guess I wasn't a good mother, because that's the one that
They
my mom
say
used to
that a lot.
use all the time. My mom used to, I would come to my mom about something that happened at school. And it's supposed to
Mhm.
be about me. I had a rough day at school. I'm trying to express this to my mother. And somehow it always goes back to her not being a good enough mother. Like, how did this get back on you?
Mhm.
I just told you I had this rough day at school. It had nothing to do with you, but somehow it's about you not being a good mother.
Mm.
Like, so I don't understand why you can't be here for me as your daughter having a
Right.
hard time.
Hmm.
So the last one is hovering, and you know what? It's just like the what it says, hovering, to like, I'm gonna be around you so you can't not be around me. As a form of manipulation,
Okay.
where you trying to
Would that
be.
be like stalking when you say hovering? Can you explain?
I mean, it kind of be can be stalking, or it kind of be like, I just like this person always want to spend time with you, and you're trying to lure that person back into, if this person try to get away, like, of the relationship,
Oh,
you
I
lure
got
them
it.
back in and say, I
Yeah.
just miss you, texting you constantly, sending pictures, sending emojis, and when you do come over, they like extra accommodating, and they're da, da, da. That's your hovering. That
I've
gives.
heard this. I want to show you, I didn't spend time with you like you wanted me to when we were
Mm-hmm.
together. So now I want to do that. I want to spend that time with you and show you that I can, but it's too late now.
It's too late.
Right.
It's too late. But then you kind of feel like it does get you a little bit. It's like, well, at least they're trying. Oh, now they finally show me the affection I've always wanted.
Hmm.
Should I give them a chance? Should I, consider this? Like, should I don't want to make them feel bad, worse than they already feel. So it's definitely a manipulative tactic, though.
Mm. Another form
they're
of
very
manipulation.
strategic, very strategic. I wanted to share. I found this. I love acronyms. Acronyms are like my favorite. That's how I used to study. I used to study by turning certain words into or terms into acronyms so I can remember them.
Okay.
So there's an acronym for narcissist.
Okay.
N stands for never admits being wrong. A stands for avoids emotions and accountability.
Yes.
R stands for rages if anyone challenges them.
Yes.
C stands for childish when they don't get their way.
Mm-hmm.
I is um try in doubt in their instill doubt in their victim.
Which eye or eyes instilled that. Okay.
Instill doubt in their victim. S
Mm-hmm.
is stonewalls doing contacts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like ignoring someone, just like blatantly annoying. I'm not gonna answer your questions. I'm not gonna respond to you because you ain't got nothing else to say anyway. They ain't got no defense, so they just like I just ignore you. The
Mm-hmm.
other S is smears and slanders you.
Mm-hmm.
The other I is in denial and gaslights you.
Mm-hmm.
The other S is subjects you to silent treatment.
Yep.
T is triangulates you and turn you down.
Mm.
So I like that. I like that the
To
acronym.
help you remember what
Mm-hmm.
the characteristics are. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
good answer for people in case you're dealing with someone in a new relationship or a family member. You're not quite sure if they are narcissists or not. Just
Mm-hmm.
go down that list, and
Yep.
if they fit any of those, like you say, two or more,
Mm-hmm. Well,
chances
really,
are
it's like three or more.
three or more. Chances
Yeah.
are you're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with narcissists.
Yeah. Two or more. I mean, two is like tendencies. Three or more, that's when it goes into the disorder.
Okay, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you suggest are some ways for people to heal from
Mm-hmm.
narcissistic abuse? Because most narcissists will not acknowledge that they are narcissists or that
Mm-hmm.
they are being abusive.
Yeah.
Many of them don't feel what they're doing is wrong.
Right.
It's the victim's fault, or they blame
Mm-hmm.
them for, they shame them and blame them for their abuse.
Yep.
Or I think a lot of them know their behavior is wrong because some of them won't do the abuse in public. Like you said, they have this
Yeah.
public persona and
Mm-hmm.
then another persona at home. So I think that they know what they're doing is wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
they just
Mm-hmm.
lack empathy.
Yeah.
So they'll turn it around to blame the other person. But what do you suggest people do who are dealing with narcissists, and whether it's family or a relationship, or I mean, I've had narcissistic boss and coworkers before, but
Yeah.
how do you
Mm-hmm.
survive it, or not survive, what's the word, what are you some suggestions for healing from it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The first thing you want to do is identify if they're a narcissist. And if they are, if you can, run, get away, because you can't change them.
Right.
So if you're in a relationship with someone who's a narcissist, you need to probably end that relationship because there's no way you're going to change them. If it's a family member, maybe you need to limit your contact or go no contact.
Hmm.
If it's a coworker or a boss, maybe considering moving jobs, because you can't change them. If those are not possible, if it's not possible to get away, then the biggest thing you can do is set boundaries. Being able to set boundaries and being able to protect yourself as possible. And the focus should then be on pouring into yourself to build up your self-esteem because they will fracture your self-esteem if you
Yeah.
allow them to.
And your self-worth. Yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then call them out. Call them out and hold them accountable. Of course, they're going to fight back with it, but let them know that and that you
Mm.
won't be gaslit or love bombed anymore. Let them
Right.
know, use that terminology like, you're gaslighting me right now.
Hmm.
And they're like, what? Oh,
Or
okay.
confront them and be like, you're acting like a narcissist, you're being narcissistic, and see
Mhm,
that'll
mhm.
usually like
And
put the book.
sometimes even when you use the word narcissistic, it can automatically turn them away. That's why I like to use certain characteristics that they're doing. Instead of just outright calling them a narcissist, be specific about what they're doing. Oh, you're trying to love bomb me. Like you really, like another part of dealing with a narcissist is do your research so you can learn the terminology, so you can understand the tactics. Oh, you are doing triangulating. Oh, you're projecting. So you can be
Mm-hmm.
very specific because if you just call them a narcissist, they can just, oh, everybody a narcissist. You know, they can go over the grand term like, that just me, I'm into myself type situation. They can downplay it. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, specifically say terms to let them know that you know their strategies and their tactics and what they're doing.
Mm.
And then take a chapter out of their book. Focus on yourself. Make yourself a priority.
Right.
The reason why narcissists can get to other people, because other people are too selfless sometimes. And narcissists especially loves empaths or empathic people because they're givers.
Oh, I see.
But a reason why people are givers a lot of the times or fixers is because that's their defense. They can't find a way to fix themselves, so they want to fix others. And so they see the narcissist as a project or something to fix, and the narcissist is like, "Oh, I'm a milk this cattle as much as I can."
Mm-hmm.
So you check yourself and ask yourself, like, how did I attract this narcissist? Because there's some traits in me that
Mm-hmm.
that that led to me attracting them. Now I'm thinking about it too. When I think about the traits, I'm thinking about I didn't even bring my book. I gotta find my book. I'm thinking about, oh, is it right here? And Dr. Romney book.
Yeah, I've watched her video. She's very, very good.
Yeah, she's good. How she identifies the different traits that that make us more susceptible, vulnerable to narcissism. And oh, I want to get that right quick.
And I didn't know she had addressed it. I've seen a couple of her videos outlining what is a narcissist, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know she addressed the other end of the table and how to make sure that you're not susceptible to the
Right,
narcissist.
right. Uh-huh. Exactly. It's important for us to um identify what in us can we work on.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't keep falling into the narcissistic trap.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we just keep falling into the trap, then we're going to keep being a part of the cycle.
Right.
Um yeah. So narcissists look for people that are caring, compassionate givers. Like, ooh,
And people who are needy.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that too. And people who are, I'm not even people who are kind of isolated or don't have a strong social circle. So that's another thing too, to deal with narcissism. Make sure your social circle is strong.
Mm.
Even if it's two or three people, make sure you got a good, make sure you keep in contact with people. Make sure you maintain your relationships, your healthy relationships, and make sure your relationships are reciprocal. That is a even flow of back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with being caring, but don't be caring in a way that you are lacking caring for yourself. Self
Right.
care is key. I tell my clients all the time, you cannot care for no one else until you care for yourself. I always, at first, before I realized the importance of self care, I wonder why when you get on a flight, they tell you to put your mask on before you put somebody else's mask
Right.
on. I was
Right.
like, that's so selfish. Why would I do that? I want to help somebody else. That's the
But if you're
impact.
not alive, you can't help the other person. So you got to
Exactly.
put
If
your
you
mask on
dead,
first.
what you gonna do?
Right.
The narcissists look for people like that that's gonna put the oxygen mask on them first, because
Mm-hmm.
the narcissists don't care whether or not you die, as long as
Right.
they survive. But you gotta put your mask on first, and you put your mask on first, and you survive. You can help more people than just
Mm-hmm.
that one person, and then you die.
Right. Right. That
It
makes sense.
makes so much more sense to me. So self care is important. So the biggest thing you could do for yourself after healing from a narcissist is love up on yourself.
Okay.
Remind yourself how wonderful you are.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself that love and affection and attention that you so crave in the
Mm-hmm.
relationship.
Right.
Thing.
And heal. Right.
Yep.
Without them.
Healing.
Good. Good. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that information. This has been very informative, and I so hope that it helps someone out there who's watching, because this is a very big issue
Mm-hmm.
in our society. Like, I mean, it seems like this is almost like a breeding ground for these kind of behaviors, and a lot of people are narcissists, and a lot of them are preying on other people.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's been going on for a long time, and a lot of people just have not identified it and have not recognized that this is what this behavior is.
Right.
And it's so many people out here who are enablers, who like you said, in the triangulation situation,
Mhm,
and they're the person in the family that's been supporting the narcissist,
mhm, mhm.
or been manipulated by the narcissist for years, and just don't recognize that this is what they have, and they've caused a lot of hurt and a lot of pain to people. So I
Yeah,
think it's good to have these conversations, and so that
yes.
people can see that there is life after this, and that
Mhm,
they have the power within them to, like you say, run away or walk away and start their own, new life, and begin the
mhm,
healing
mhm.
process.
Exactly, exactly.
And when
Yeah.
you want to share with people how they can contact you, I can put it in the chat for your services.
Yes, go visit my website, Serenity Reigns, and that's Reigns, REIGNS.com.
Serenity, spelled again,
GNS,
REINS.
uh-huh, .com. I'm also on Psychology Today. Um, right now I'm all booked up, but you can still reach out and get on my wait list. And yeah, that's
And Psychology Today. Okay, that's a
mhm.
website.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to put that in the chat. Okay. All righty. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And family out there who's listening, please be aware. Listen to what she said when she broke down the acronym, and see if you are dealing with a narcissist, and um, seek healing. Separate yourself from them, and if you think that you may be a narcissist, there's ways also to begin the healing process, and begin to recognize that there's a need. You have a need to work on being more
Mhm.
empathic towards people,
Yep.
being more patient, and not using manipulation and other tactics to get what you want out of life, because it's not acceptable.
Right, right. I just
Mhm.
sent you the acronym. I don't know how to
Oh, thank you, thank you.
you're welcome. I don't know how to put it in my like put it don't let me comment for some reason.
It won't. Oh, okay.
Mhm,
That's odd.
mhm.
Okay, I'll try to copy and paste it.
Okay.
Okay then. All right then. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone. All right. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Blessings, everyone, and have a wonderful solstice evening.
Yeah, happy winter
Happy
solstice.
winter solstice to you too.
Yes.
Yes.
And happy
All right.
holidays.
Happy holidays.